The tricky thing is that usually you expect your bolts to come in pairs.
Right.
Some of these have holes where they should have bolts.
Yeah.
Good evening everybody, Calm Biker here. Now our first job should be an easy one. We want to get this mudguard off. Not that one, this one. But the bike's in the chock, it's on the bench. We're probably being a bit lazy because we can't be bothered to yeah, exactly. We can't be bothered to get the stands out and take it off the bench and all that kind of thing. So we've got a theory. We're going to whip out the axle, put in a thin screwdriver because we only need a tiny amount of play to get that mudguard out. Then we'll push down on the back of the bike, lift up the front, and hopefully the mudguard will come out. Otherwise, we're going to do all this with stands and this will never make it to YouTube. Okay, we're just going to take the weight to the front of the bike so that nothing can move. With a jack. So that should hold the bike steady. So here's the tricky bit. I'm going to pull the axle out and Tosh is going to be pushing the thin screwdriver in. Which one? You got it? You got it? I'm out.
You're out.
I'm out. So that is now our axle. Just this screwdriver here. Which means in theory we can jack up the bike a little bit, lift so that the wheel and the forks are together just by that screwdriver, and hopefully squeeze out the mudguard. The moment of truth. Oh! Perfect. Get the axle back in. That's a few bits removed, a few little bits. We're now on a point of I want to get this exhaust off. Now it's actually only held on with one bolt because it's broken. If you look under here, see it's completely detached. So this bolt should be enough. One very rusty bolt. One exhaust. Right, time to remove the rest of the exhaust. There's just one bolt back here and then bolts on the headers. We're going to take the bolts off the headers first, because if we undo the bolt under there, the whole thing will swing and put pressure on the engine. We don't want to do that. We'd rather put pressure on the exhaust, because that's going in the bin. Oh, I'll tell you what, penetrating fluid is a wonderful thing. We're going to get this side stand off, which means getting this spring off, because as you can see the spring actually blocks the nut. So we could do it down, or we could do it up. Down, the spring's under tension; up, much less so. So, how do you remove the front sprocket if you haven't got a gear selector to put it in gear and you haven't got a rear brake to keep the rear wheel from moving? You use metal bar. That was easy. So the sprocket's loosened. Can't actually take the front sprocket off without loosening the chain up. So we're going to take the rear wheel out because it's got to come out anyway.
That'll do.
Now I've got the screwdriver through so that when we pull the axle out we don't have to worry about holding the wheel will just be held by the screwdriver. A little bit stiff with just a screwdriver, so just got the bar underneath the tyre, just a bit of leverage just to lift it so that the axle comes out nicer. Lovely. And the screwdriver is holding the wheel in place. Screwdriver is much thinner, much easier to get out later on. Remember, never lay your wheel down. You don't want to break or bend your discs. Right, axle back in for safekeeping, and I like to keep everything exactly how it was on the axle so I can't forget anything. This particular spacer is bi-directional, if you want to call it that, but you can see where it's clean and where it's dirty. So the clean side must have been in the wheel, so it's going on that way. And now we can't lose it. Should we get this suspension off?
I reckon we should.
that was a faff, but we got it off. And basically, it's just rusted in there. So this bolt is now, well, for the bin. Last job, that's coming off. This was quite unusual. We expected a bolt at the back and the tank to lift out and slide out, but it's actually got 2 bolts either side, a couple of sleeves, some rubber bits and pieces. Quite interesting. Okay, tank up. So fuel off with a petcock. Okay, overflow. And the main fuel. And then the only thing still connected to the tank is the sender. So follow that wire along, and we've got a little plug. There we go. So that should be the tank entirely disconnected. Quite like that. So it's all stripped down now, ready for cleaning, and then once it's clean we can start on all the other jobs. Looking a little bit different to how we started. Thanks for watching everyone, ride safe, and we'll talk to you all again soon.